it comes to disappointments, one need not look any further than the Obi-Wan Kenobi miniseries, a show that scarcely expands on the complexity of the Star Wars universe and even fails to deliver on its main promise, that being, this was supposed to be an eloquent story about Obi-Wan Kenobi with the purpose of filling in certain gaps between the timeline of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, but only managed to address how Leia knew Kenobi before Luke. Alternatively, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series we were given is an incoherent, inconsistent, and careless form of storytelling that is responsible for the disrespectful nature its own protagonist is sidelined throughout the show. For starters, the opening cutscene after the recap takes us to the origination of Reva's backstory, despite nobody giving two Gamorrean shits about who and where her character came from, tends to have a stronger focus over Kenobi's superior history between Darth Vader and Yoda. Speaking of a small, green, wrinkly oddity that never gets to be seen, I should really get a doctor to look at that thing on my ass. At any rate, Yoda hasn't been mentioned other than in the prelude, nor has the series touched on Kenobi's training with Yoda in order to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn. But hey, its reassuring Reva subplot is there to distract us from things we might actually want to see, because her story arc literally blows my mind by how shitty it is. Of course, I'll get more into that later. For now, though, Kenobi's main interactions with Reva as well as Darth Vader are mainly seen with him bravely running away. Running away. And Kenobi running away.
Bravely ran away, away.
I didn't!
When danger reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled.
This show makes it hard to believe this is the same person who won a fight against General Grievous in the center of a droid-infested outpost, or even stood his ground on the blazing planet of Mustafar to face Anakin with unknown odds and confront a dreadful truth. While this series gives the excuse of Kenobi being out of practice for 10 years, yet there is still no explanation as to why he gave up training at all, or the reasoning behind burying his lightsaber in the middle of the desert, which breaks continuity established in Revenge of the Sith.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
Probably because Disney's idea of a Jedi is that they're unambitious, they're a bunch of quitters, and they don't like to get involved. So quit asking and get the fuck out of their hermit hole. Anyway, I thought Kenobi's prime concern revolved around watching over Luke's safety, so what exactly was his plan if the Empire did discover where Luke was hiding? Oh well. Whenever Kenobi's past isn't getting bulldozed, his actions are minimalized with a young Leia because of the show's absence in leadership concerning the former general and Jedi Master. Meanwhile, this imposter of Kenobi follows Leia around like a sad little puppy.
Father, aren't you going to say hello?
Hello.
Oh no, that's alright, thank you. We just need directions.
Come on, Father. We've walked long enough. Thanks, Frank.
Jesus, I wouldn't let a 10-year-old plan my vacation, let alone make decisions where our lives hang in the balance. This brings me to a major flaw, where its two main characters are acting as if they function on a similar level of competence, where in no way should this be the case, especially with Leia being so young. I mean, we all know Leia is a Skywalker and kind of a badass as an adult.
Into the garbage, you fly boy!
However, this doesn't justify shoehorning in the ability to resist her mind being probed by the Force of an experienced user, or to detract from Kenobi being a mentor. Unfortunately, with so many flaws, we are left shortchanged of the potential for a meaningful, charming, and heartwarming connection between a young Leia and Kenobi that should have dignified its characters and showed an understanding of the source material it was meant to expand on. Getting back to Everybody Loves Reva, I'll quickly summarize. She is an Imperial Inquisitor who was once a youngling studying at the Jedi Temple during the time of its collapse. With the use of plot armor, she managed to escape Ground Zero of Order 66, including a direct encounter with Anakin, and without a clear explanation, she somehow recognizes him and knows Anakin is Vader. Giving us her motivation behind working for the Imperial Army is based on revenge for the assassination attempt on Darth Vader, an attempt that fails spectacularly. It's at this time, in a pointless twist, Darth Vader reveals that he remembered Reva as a youngling the whole time, but still allowed her to join the Empire and rise to the ranks, simply because. Then, moments after getting rammed through with a lightsaber, Reva decides it's only a flesh wound and continues to hunt more Jedi after learning one is hiding on Tatooine, even though it would serve her no purpose at this point, until she decides to stop, to which Obi-Wan tells her by doing this,
You have honored them.
Fuck you.
I guess pay no attention to her years of being a cutthroat oppressor in a tyrannical army to oust her own people to near extinction, and even almost gouging out a little girl's eyes. All of this so Reva could get one brainless attempt on Vader's life. I would say it was a valiant effort, but this was just dumb. Before I go any further, in case anyone is asking,
what were they thinking?
Were there any parts I did like? There is the scene of Vader's arrival to Mapuzo village as he savagely brutalizes anyone in his line of sight, with the expectation to lure Kenobi out of hiding, because this was actually really well done. The ruthlessness of Vader is behavior we know and love, as well as the spontaneity in attacking the villagers that gave everyone watching a feeling of
Holy shit!
Sadly, nothing else in the show comes close to this scene, and it's extremely short-lived. Plus, the first confrontation between Vader and Kenobi that follows the scene immediately after makes this victory feel hollow. As for the final showdown between these two, it was underwhelming, and the choreography was done better not only under the direction of George Lucas over 15 years ago, but by fans themselves who have showed they understand and respect the legacy behind Kenobi and Vader, by making a video that reimagined the fight on the Death Star where Obi-Wan sacrifices himself. For those who haven't seen the video, I will leave a link in the description. Now, let's wrap things up here by mentioning this show's director, Deborah Chow, who was clearly chosen for this because of her success in the past making films. I mean, who could forget such classics as The High Cost of Living or Flowers in the Attic? Truly timeless treasures. With such qualifications, it's clear Disney had no intention of caring for the final product here, or even the negative reactions it would have. In fact, the company gives the impression that anyone who questions or criticizes what's been given isn't a true fan, when that's not how fandom works. One could argue the right kind of criticism comes from a place of love and only wants the best for something they care about. Watching Star Wars now is like watching a friend or family member you care about hurting themselves, so naturally all you'd want to do is help, and just because what people are saying is negative doesn't mean it's not helpful. Can you imagine Gordon Ramsay if everything he said was positive? The point here is, how else can Disney and Lucasfilm improve unless fans speak up? And maybe one day, they will have no choice but to finally listen. That's the end of this review. To whom it may concern, thanks for listening.